Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Richard and Dr. Ed Show. We are here trying this new podcasting platform, which will hopefully give us some amazing videos and clips. It is now the middle of January in 2024. We have lots of big things coming up. We had a busy December with lots of socializing, drinking, socializing, maybe some other substances. And we have come ready to charge 2024 from the personal perspective and the personal brand of what is Dr. Ed Caddy, Richard Aceves, and Moved Academy. Mr. Ed, how are we doing today?
I am very good. Down at the Riverside, which is our new fun technologies that we have. I like how we started and it said actual recording is better quality than what we see, which means maybe we're going to say things in the actual episode that are going to be great and really insightful, and we won't notice now. But yeah, I am very good. I just finished my day 5 on the My System.
Beautiful.
Which is quickly becoming my favorite day for many reasons, as people will soon learn when they get access to the system, which is coming soon. So that's super exciting.
Yes.
I wondered, because it's going to be such a big thing for the fitness industry, for the health industry, I was wondering if you could tell people what the My System is, the MI system, as just an intro to it.
So as a quick intro, My System is a program that is an anti-program. So it is a set of guidelines for an individual to train. And the goal of My System, outside of the means goals of getting stronger, losing weight, is to gain max interoception. So max interoception allows you to get to know yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, and it allows you to win. So it's a I think it's been over a year that I've been playing with these supersets and the EMOMs, and I've had you guys and the mentees kind of play around with different days of My System. But in essence, it's a culmination of a 6-day training block that allows you to see where you fail or where you quit in the gym. And the beauty of it is that where you quit in the gym usually translates or correlates directly to how you quit or sabotage or fail in the outside world. So that's what My System is for. It's a program that allows the individual to understand how they sabotage themselves in the gym so they can learn to not do it. And if you can change the behavior in the gym, more than likely you can change the behavior outside of the gym.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've learned myself using the system, even just since January 1st, I think. I've been diligently following it, so to speak. And it's the first program that I have diligently followed that hasn't led me to like extreme pain, which is good. And particularly pain on my left side of my right lower back, which is interesting because we know from an emotional standpoint, then doing things for the sake of the program and the sets and reps that you're prescribed can either lead to frustration or it can lead to not putting your own needs first. And
right.
It's definitely helped me connect back to myself and enjoying training again. Is there anybody you don't think would benefit from using the My program or that would struggle to start with it?
I think it's not for everybody. Because there is a sense of being independent. So for people that just want to tell me what to do, I want to go in the gym and sweat and come back home, probably not going to be the program for you, because you will end up, there's too many variables where you are not wanting to listen to your body. So I think that's going to be a failing point for a lot of people, or a quitting point for a lot of people. They're not ready for it yet. I would like to back up and go as to why I created My System and why I created, we talk about methodologies quite often, right? So starting strength, conjugate systems, the Bulgarian system, there's different systems out there, different methodologies and approaches out there. And this is the first one that I've been able to create. And I've been in the fitness industry for 15 plus years. I think I'm getting into 18 years. And the one issue that I always had about trying to write a program or trying to write a template or giving people my workouts was that the workouts that I did, if I were to put them in a program for somebody else, it wouldn't work for 80% of the people because it was my program. I'm a very intuitive trainer. And so I always had a hard time trying to write a broad template for people to buy it at masses because I know that, as I said, who this program is not for, people would do the exercises, hold their breath during the movement, do the required amount of work to still allow themselves to say, this program didn't work for my lower back pain or my shoulder pain or my anxiety or my depression or my whatever. So for me, it was very difficult to try and put a template, a program, a method together that could encompass, the 95%. And those 5% are just not ready to commit to wanting to learn about themselves. And that's fair. But the key points that I needed for a system to work for me is that it needed to be applicable across all spectrums. So this is, I would say, the first program that I've seen that is disciplineless, meaning that I can apply it if I'm a functional fitnesser, CrossFitter. I can apply it if I'm a pure power lifter, if I'm a weightlifter, if I play rugby, if I do ultra marathons. It goes across the spectrum of fitness and health, which I think is a beautiful way to approach what we see now in the fitness industry, which is the disciplines are kind of merging together. You see people doing CrossFit in order to get better for rugby. You see people playing new sports to try and get better at CrossFit or functional fitness, right? There's this sort of merging of disciplines, and I love that. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I wanted to put together when I had my own method, is that it was applicable across the spectrum of health and fitness. And I think that I've accomplished that.
Well, I would agree. And it just made me think that the whole biohacking community, who really like a program to follow, unfortunately, part of their hacking has led them down a path where sometimes they don't want to push the intensity really hard because they want to do the minimum required in order to maintain a certain objective.
Right.
I think this program would be great for the biohackers because they will learn that they actually need to push hard, and they probably sabotage themselves in a lot of ways that they aren't really aware of. So I definitely recommend it for them. And as you say, it's multidisciplinary. Even if you were just a runner, you could plug in what you need to do into this type of program.
Right.
And you say it is more suited to somebody with independence, but actually we, more so you for longer, have been using it with your clients in order to help them generate independence over time. So it's a tool that we'll be sharing with the Moved Academy, and they will obviously understand it at a deeper level because we'll have more conversations with them. But yeah, I think for anybody who wants to learn about themselves, it's a great tool to have at your disposal to plug in the movements that you like to coach, the ways that you like to exercise, let's say, or even a competition. You can plug in the movements. I've been thinking about creating a high rock specific version.
There we go.
Just to enjoy it.
The beauty of it is we have Moved Academy with now 50 plus coaches. We have 52 coaches on there. Woo.
Amazing.
And if you want to join, you're more than welcome to join the movement. And they're all going to get the guidelines. So the end result is, like you said, like the program starts with a lot of education and explaining, because I want people to have an understanding of how to apply the program and, different variations of what they can do. So like we had the sets to failure the other day, and I did uphill. I was walking at 4.2 on a treadmill and at 11% grade of incline. And it was sets to failure. So I did 3 sets of failure of walking uphill. My constraint was I had to stay nasal breathing. Now, for endurance athletes or for some people, you're like, that's super easy. I'm not the guy. Not for me. I could bench press all day long, but have me walk uphill and I want to quit right away, especially having to stay nasal breathing. And so for me, it was a great constraint. And one of my guinea pigs wrote to me. They're like, I've never thought about this for a sets to failure. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, that's all you did? I was like, I really didn't want to do anything else afterwards. So it was essentially a zone 2 or like an active meditation walk, a little bit more intensity involved. But it was wonderful. I lasted about 20 minutes on the first one. I think it was like 18 minutes on the second one. On the third one, I think I was like at 15 minutes. I gave myself about 2 minutes rest to bring myself back to center and then get back on around 2 minutes, nothing specific. And yeah, it was, it's disciplineless, and you can apply it to whatever it is that you want. But the biggest thing that you're being forced to do out of it is to be active and present. And you start to learn lessons, which I think is great. So as all these move coaches start to play around and go like, hey, I'm a weightlifter, so, and I've developed my system program for weightlifters, or I developed this for CrossFitters, or I developed it for high rocks, like you're going to try and implement endurance athletes. I think that we can get a big, start to compile these programs and just basically put them in there as 6 weeks or 8 weeks or 3-month blocks, and people can choose whatever program they want to follow, which might be a little bit more dependent. And then as you start to go, and I explain it in the course, you can choose to create your own. But the goal is always independence, right? I always put out there that we're trying to get ourselves to not have a job, because we want to develop, independency. And I think independency, is that how you say it? That's probably not how you say it.
Independence.
Independence.
I like it.
But yeah, I think that's really part of the goal here is educating people, because at the end of the day, it's, people should be able to understand how their body works. There's a big thing happening out there in the fitness industry where they just sell you to sell you, and they just keep churning and churning and churning. I don't want to have that global gym mentality where I'm going to charge you $10 a month and you're here forever, never using the product, right? I'd rather have high value and make it work.
Yeah, well, I suppose the mindset of educating and improving on teaching on the fundamentals of how we need to move and how we apply movement to better physical, mental, and emotional health it's the goal of Moved Academy. It's our goal, and I guess it will spread like a virus in that we educate coaches, they educate their clients go educate other people and become coaches. And I mean, when I started working with you, I wasn't a coach. I was just a lost medical doctor who saw loads of patients who were in pain or suffering. And you provided solutions and have continued to provide solutions. And I guess they have channeled through me, and now I can provide the solutions. But it's a cool journey. So are there any specifics goals wise for Moved Academy in 2024 you want to talk about?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we're working on in the back end, isn't there? So for
busy.
Moved Academy, yeah, again, for me, the biggest goal is to make sure that the end vision, let's start with that, right? So my end vision for Moved Academy in the next decade is to be a prominent player in the coaching evolution certification accreditation. Coaches, PTs, MDs are searching to become certified Moved Academy instructors. And, that is the end vision. The short-term vision is to bring certifications to Moved Academy. With that short-term vision is your help and your capacities to prove that what we're doing isn't just a voodoo, spiritualistic, or, these guys don't know what they're talking about in the strength and conditioning field sort of conversation. So we're creating part of the certification that I'm going to give, an accreditation, will not be where I've seen the fitness industry fail, which is you show up for a weekend, here's your certificate, now you can educate. My certification process will require you to have the applicable knowledge, not just the regurgitation of information. So we're going to force the coaches to put in the time to make sure that they understand the fundamentals and they can see the body through the scope of tension and not just position. They can see how the physical, the mental, and the emotional is impacted inside of the gym, X, Y, and Z, right? We can actually have results of getting people out of pain for the long term, not just the short term. And the cool thing about this is that you're going to be playing a major part. You're going to be teaching. We had a great call this week about, science and subjective versus objective, and kind of an introduction to how we can propose science and our findings. And we are putting together lots of data points that you will be helping us kind of publish. So as of right now, we have 27 assessments that have been logged in. I'm sure that by the end of this year, I'm hoping to get over 500, because right now we have 50 coaches. For the certification, they're going to be required to have 120 assessments blocked. So all of these data points will start to prove that what we're teaching, even though it goes against the norm of physiotherapy, of the medical practices or strength and conditioning and the current myofascial or mobility release techniques, is working. And not just in the short term of like, hey, come here, try this, now you're not in pain, here you go, you're fixed. But we're requiring these coaches to keep track of the clients for minimum of 6 weeks to 3 months.
Yeah, I think it's we had some questions when we were on that call about kind of how we begin to communicate with people that maybe aren't in this mindset. And it's about speaking their language, but giving them something slightly more to challenge them or to make them question what they're currently doing. So I'm really excited because in the last week, I had a conventional physio that owns a very flashy high street center locally where I live. Say they've listened to the podcast that we did with Mark Belt. They've been speaking to a client that I've made lots of progress with locally, who was diagnosed with osteoarthritis of his right hip. Now his hip is basically completely relaxed and it's not giving him any discomfort. And she tells me that she's already referred a client of theirs from their nice flashy physiotherapy thing that says, we diagnose and treat your pain problems. So yeah, there's going to be some cool connections because now we're starting to speak a language where the system, which is trying its best for people, but it's ultimately not providing the solutions for everybody. And that's when we provide the foundational principles that hopefully can be applied to everybody, when the coaches learn how to communicate with the people and their clients.
100%.
So that's super exciting. We also have the Movement Ayahuasca coming in April, and you have a few events before that.
Yeah, I mean,
they're increasing.
Just a little busy. It's no big deal. So Movement Ayahuasca, we currently have 2 rooms left, but I believe it's going to be down to 1 room by the end of this week. I'm working on setting one up in the US. So for all my American listeners, I'm going to be heading over to the US. I'm hoping towards middle of the year. With Moved Academy, I have 3 seminars that will be live in-person seminars. So one is going to be the fundamentals of a moved coach. The second one is going to be the assessment seminar. And the third one will be the emotions in our muscles. So I'm kind of restructuring everything so that there's a nice path to the certification, the accreditation, the capacity for coaches that invest so much of their time, money, it's being reciprocated. And so I want to make sure that I can provide the best service for those coaches that are really wanting to make a change in this industry. When we talk to a lot of the coaches coming in here, it's, I want to get better, but I don't know where to go. And most of the time when I look at other forms of certifications or mentoring, a lot of it ends up being, how do you sell your service? Which I get it. It's a big part of what we should be learning to do, is how to sell our service. But what is the biggest thing that you've noticed, for you in particular, is you do the work, you get the results, and now you get referrals. And that's because you've gained the knowledge, the wisdom, and the applicability of what comes with it. You're not just regurgitating you should be doing the bicep opener, and if it doesn't work, it's because you don't know what you're doing. You know what I mean? And so that's the biggest thing, is you're providing independence to your clients, and that comes back through value, and now people are being referred to you. And that's the biggest thing that we can do as we restructure when we have all these seminars and all these workshops, is I just want to give people a chance to see how passionate I am about wanting to change the fitness industry, but open their eyes that a lot of the shit that you've been taught is not necessarily the best way to approach clients that are in pain, or those that just want to have goals in mind. You know what I mean? Like when you look at that long-term value of your client, like, is this really beneficial for them?
Yeah, and the business mentoring, I mean, you can definitely make 20 to 50K a month if you're willing to do all that social media pumping and everything like that, and just give a cookie cutter approach service. But my vision is that in not too many years, not too many months, that people like moved coaches will be such a valuable asset in the current climate that they will be commanding a much larger market share because they will have the knowledge and the wisdom. And it's not all about money, but if you can solve big problems, then people find you because they need your help.
Right. Yeah. And again, let's give it a few years, but it'll probably be way faster than that.
Yeah.
ChatGPT, WhatsApp now has their Meta AI robot that you can talk to. All the stuff that these guys are doing to rake in the money now, it's a short-term reward, and hey, it's a great one. And if you're in this industry because you want to pump out the money and then you're going to go back into finance, or you're going to go into something else, you're probably not a moved coach. But if you're passionate about truly wanting to learn how to connect with clients, how to give results, how to understand the solution and the problems that people are having, those are the coaches that I want. Because again, let's say 5 to 10 years, those are the coaches that are going to be still around trying to get better they're going to want to get better as how do we help people the best. And it's not going to be through any recipe. It needs to come through the capacity to connect to the human and have the knowledge of what that human is going through at the moment, because stress for somebody is not stress for somebody else. And if you can't read that, then you're just saying the recipe is going to give you a delicious meal, and that's not true. You can ask our buddy Jack about that. When he's like, "Hey bro, I have pork belly. What do I do?" And I was like, "I don't know." He's like, and he looked up a ChatGPT recipe. It did not end well for him. He was angry. So that's the key, right? Is can you make a delicious pork belly, not just follow the recipe and hope for the best?
And then can you teach somebody else the principles to make the pork belly too?
Yeah, and that's going to be the key, is can you transfer that wisdom, right? And I think that's where the fitness industry is going to go in 5 to 10 years, because all the global gyms will get rid of most of their PTs because ChatGPT or screens, all the equipment will have a little ChatGPT thing on there. People are now having their wearables all the time that tell them what to do. There's a big shift that's going to be happening here soon.
Yeah.
And I just want to have humans that care about other humans. That's really the truth of it.
Well, to put it into perspective, while we're talking, my usual group that I do coaching with on a Sunday, they've all decided to meet up without me and go do their own training session with sandbags in the park. So I've almost become obsolete there. But the good thing is they know some of them know a lot of the principles because they've solved their own back pain, their own shoulder pain, hip pain, whatever.
Well, you've guided them, they've done the work, but you've guided them in the right, you've given them direction. And
now, like, there's kind of people on the fringe of the group who are coming in to train with them, and I know that the training they're going to be doing is going to help them, and then it's great to see as an evolution.
But you should be so proud of that. You know how difficult that's called, being a community leader, the fact that the ship can run without you being there, but they still look for you for guidance. That's beautiful, and that's what I always try and get people to understand is, like, if you do a good job with your core members, especially if you're in group training, those core members will help educate 80% of the people. You can now quadruple the amount of people coming in because they have the right direction and the right guidance, because your core members now start to become part of these leaderboards. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's interesting to see those people realizing they have that power, and beginning to express themselves openly in the group and having an opinion where before they were kind of quiet and shy and
Right.
um yeah, then I know some of them will listen to this, so don't be
Yeah.
afraid to
Bam. Good
take
job,
control,
guys.
and good job.
It's called building confidence.
Yeah. Anything else for 2024 we need to touch on, or are we
2024. I think I've started to work with clients. So the way that I work with clients needs to change. And now I'm only taking on clients that are willing to invest a year. So for those that are coming in with, chronic or acute back pain or shoulder pain, I'm still going to help, but I'm going to do sort of what I did with my system. I have an entire program and educational platform, and then we'll do like one call every quarter to make sure that we're going in the right direction. But for those that are dealing with behavioral issues, or that are having, these big spurts, or like a case like Terry, um, these partial mentoring, like I want to make sure that they're committed for the year. So that's going to be my goal for the next month, is really ironing out these details, and then I'm going to start rolling out the way that people that are having low back pain or shoulder pain coming in, they can go do the work. I'll do some calls so we make sure that we're heading in the right direction. But I feel like it's taken me a few years, but now I have the confidence as to how I can put things in a program and educate people, even though I'm far away. So
yeah.
I'm pretty excited about that.
Well, I am obviously grateful to you because I steal things.
That's the
So
point.
it's taken you many years, and it's taken me slightly less years, but I've had my first client in Australia, and they have long COVID, fatigue, and we already got him to jog further than he has done in years.
Awesome.
And he felt so good. He like ran down to the sea and went for a swim, and he's starting to get glute connections on the calf raises, and yeah, he's feeling good. So I'm again building up towards building him his own my system.
Beautiful.
So then he can learn to regulate, and uh, yeah, it's just when you can guide somebody, and the guidance is them educating themselves as opposed to you giving the education, it makes
Right.
it's so much more fulfilling on both sides. And I
Yeah.
think that's what the fitness industry has lost, is like the person will always come back to the coach to be told what to do.
Right.
And it's like twice a week, 3 times a week, 5 times a week because it's not going well. And then it's like, oh, you must be cheating, or you're not training, or
Right.
it's
Yeah. It's I was talking to this with Bryce on another podcast on the All Smith Project. Shout out to Bryce, about coaches just giving things in the silver platter. And, it's giving things in a silver platter and then kind of stroking your own ego, rather than, having the knowledge and understanding that the timelines differ for people. And it takes work on the client's side. Like, you're a consultant to their health, as a fitness professional, PT coach, whatever you want to call it. You're a consultant, but it takes the work on the other side in order for it to work. So it's not about, you need to walk the walk and talk the talk. Is that how it is? Yeah. In order for you to understand what the person needs to go through. But if you think that writing the program is going to help the person, it's not true. It's the person doing the program accordingly that's going to help. And I think that's one of the biggest things with online training now, is how many people buy templates or programs. Or right now, everything is free because that's like the new funnel thing, right? It's like, take this free course, take this free course. Like I have the 4 pillars of a coach. But how many people actually are doing the work that you leave in that free course? And listen, I'm the first one to admit, like I've signed up for so many free courses that I do the first, 25%, and then I drop off and I'm like, whatever. So it's, I understand how this works. It's your clients, as much as you, need to find enough of a why to invest into putting in the work.
Yeah, I've noticed it even with the metabolic testing that I do, which in some cases could be seen as a passive approach, but when you have to organize your day based on hitting specific nutrient targets because you have severe deficiencies in certain things, and you have to literally make a time priority for your health every single day, then
Right.
it becomes a very active process. Laugh a bit when people say, "Oh, so am I going to take these supplements just for a kind of few weeks, or is this like a lifetime thing?" And I'm like, well, your health is kind of a lifetime thing. Yeah. So
Right.
um,
And the supplements can change, right?
they
Based on
change based on stress,
diet and
environment, all
everything.
sorts
Yeah.
of stuff. So it's realizing that we do live in a pretty harsh environment, and stress is going to come from all directions, and that we, as coaches, mentors, acknowledge clients are going to be stressed, things are going to hold them back. We're just here to support and, as you say, guide and navigate their ship with them.
Yeah. Exactly. Beautiful. I think that's a great place to stop for today.
Yeah.
I would like to get in at some of these podcasts. I would love to get into your DMT trip and just give people an understanding. For me, I'm going to interview you, and I would like to know the differences between, maybe we'll do that on the next episode,
Sure.
of your, ayahuasca DMT trip and movement ayahuasca, the differences that you've had and what has all happened since then. So we'll get into that on the next episode. Cliffhanger. Mr. Ed, thank you so much for the time.
Yeah.
Last thoughts? You had something you were about to say. Sorry, I cut you off.
Let's get some guests. If you want to be a guest host or a guest questioner on the podcast, let us know. And anybody's welcome. We don't bite.
Beautiful. Peace, guys. Have a good one. We'll catch you next time.
See you later.